It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations, we cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
Welcome aboard. We've got a special Best of edition for you this week, featuring some award-winning interviews. What kind of awards, you ask? Well, they're called Excellence in Craft Awards, and they were given to us by two organizations. The first one is the Outdoor Writers Association of America. That has nearly 800 members. We're talking about writers, photographers, people who work in video, people who work in radio like me, people who are doing podcasts, people who are doing things on YouTube, but we all communicate about the outdoors and we're professionals doing it. The other organization is the Northwest Outdoor Writers Association, same sort of group, but at a regional level, covering Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and British Columbia, as well as Alaska. These are great groups. They throw some great conferences. They're full of wonderful people. And by the way, if you do any of these things, or if you're interested in a career in the outdoors media, I would urge you to check out the websites and consider joining. The national one is OWAA.org, and the regional one, if you live out in the Northwest, is Northwest-Outdoor-Writers-Association.org, or just Google Outdoor Writers Association of America and the Northwest Outdoor Writers Association. And if you have a desire to become an outdoors media professional in any of the fields that are found within these organizations, and you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You can always do so through our Facebook page at America Outdoors Radio. Just like and follow us there and shoot me a message. Or if you prefer, go to our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com and just go to our Contact Us page and let me know you're interested in finding out more about becoming an outdoors media professional. Now, getting back to these awards, what happens is, at least in the national competition, there's different categories, and people, whether they're writers or broadcasters or produce TV shows, they all enter their best work from the previous year into specific categories. For example, it might be the fishing category or the hunting category, and there's several other categories too. So in these categories and in these excellence in craft contests, a whole bunch of us submit our best work from all over the Northwest for the regional group, from all over the country for the national group. In the audio category alone, there's about 60 different broadcasters plus that are eligible to enter, and many of them do. The entries are given to judges. The judges, in the case of the audio entries, listen to them, they score them, and they decide which ones are the best, with first, second, and third place awards. And we're thrilled anytime we place, as we did with several of our interviews from both this show and our sister show, Northwestern Outdoors Radio, this year. Our first interview that we're going to share with you this week won a second place Excellence in Craft Award from the Outdoor Writers Association of America in the category of Gear and Tech. Our subject, fishing gear. Our guest, Dave Brown, and he's got some lures like none I've ever seen before from Savage Gear. Our second in-depth conversation today won an Excellence in Craft Award from the Outdoor Writers Association of America in the humor category. It's a category I had never entered before, but after talking to Bill Heavey, the longtime humor columnist for Field and Stream magazine, I couldn't help but enter it into the contest this year. Another of my favorite interviews, which also has a fair amount of humor in it, is with Joe Wilson. This interview about Squirrels Unlimited and the World Championship Squirrel Cook-Off in Bentonville, Arkansas, was recorded last summer and won first place in the audio category this year from the Northwest Outdoor Writers Association. Finally, we'll bring you an interview with John Cleveland. He's with Eppinger Lures out of Dearborn, Michigan. They make the famous and very deadly Daredevil spoon. John will tell you more about the story of this legendary lure and about some incredible fish he's caught with it. Now, this interview wasn't an award winner, but it's one of my favorites, and it gives me great pleasure to share it with you today. Before we talk about old school lures, though, let's introduce you to some new and completely different ones. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're broadcasting from Fish Camp in the Columbia River Gorge, bordering Oregon and Washington. We've been having a great time talking to folks from the fishing industry, and one of those people that we've been talking to is Dave Brown. He is with Okuma, and he's shown us not just some of the great rods and reels that Okuma makes, but he's shown us some absolutely crazy fishing lures. I'm talking about lures that mimic ducks, that mimic bats, and mimic some sort of Frankenstein monster in between. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, thanks for having me.
So, when I think of Okuma, Dave, I always think of rods and reels. I've never thought of fishing lures before, especially crazy ones like this. How did Okuma get in the fishing lure business?
Well, it's actually a fun story. So Savage Gear is our bait side of the business. They've been our partner in the U.S. here for about 5 years. How it works is in Europe, they're actually the European distributor of Okuma. So just a tight family, and we've had it for quite a while now.
So let's run through some of these lures. And the first one is the duck lure. Now, I know that a largemouth bass, especially a big one, will eat a duckling, but I've never seen lures like these before.
Yeah, that was the 3D Suicide Duck. We introduced that guy last year at ICAST 2016 in Florida, and it actually won the best new hard bait. It was pretty exciting. This dude kicks up an incredible smoke stream when you're pulling it across the surface, and it's driving bass, pike, and muskie crazy.
Speaking of driving big predatory fish crazy, and something I've never seen before in my life, the 3D bat looks just like a bat, and it's even got little wings that I presume are working in the water. Tell our listeners about this. Who came up with this idea?
Yeah, the guy who came up with this is Mads. He's the creator of Savage Gear. The bat itself, it's a 3D scanned bat. The stories that we have that we actually got these bats is kind of funny. But so anyway, this bat it's a hard bait. It actually won the best new hard bait this year at ICAST 2017. It's got stainless steel wings that it actually flaps right across the surface. It's top water bait. It's got a couple of hooks. It's a crawler bait. So you throw it out there and it just crawls back and forth right across the surface. No big smoke screen, but it creates a tremendous amount of commotion.
So you handle social media for Okuma, and I know people are sending you pictures all the time. What kind of fish is a bat catching?
We're getting actually a lot of largemouth bass, pike, and muskie. Guys are throwing these. We've actually had a couple guys in saltwater throwing these for big jacks down in Louisiana. But they're just anything that's going to chase some topwater. The commotion these things make is pretty incredible.
All right, last but not least. Now, listen very carefully here. There's certain words you're not allowed to say on the radio, but trust me, this one you can say. Now, we're talking about a lure here that looks like a duck, but it has the legs of a frog, and it's called the fruck. What is the idea behind this, and what's it supposed to catch?
Yeah, WTF for sure here. What the fruck is that thing? These are the frucks. These are a top water hollow body bait. It's like a soft bodied frog that you actually walk back and forth, but it's a 3D scan of an actual duckling. So it's got frog hooks to it, soft, easy bite down, and it's got frog legs. Shaped like a duck, looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, but it's actually a frog. Pretty crazy.
Crazy indeed. My favorite one is the greenhead mallard with the green spotted frog legs. Absolutely crazy. I'll tell you what, if you want to have your fishing partner look at you like you're absolutely nuts, go ahead and tie one of these on. And if you want him to be begging you for one, catch a big bass or a pike with it, and I'm sure he will. So we've got the fruck, we've got the bat, and we've got the suicide duck, all made by Savage Gear. When people are going to find these in stores, are they going to be under Okuma label, Savage Gear label? Obviously, they're weird enough that people are going to find them by themselves, I think, no matter what the label, but what label are they under?
They're under Savage Gear. Savage Gear is its own standalone brand. We just happen to be the U.S. partner.
Where can people find them?
You can find these guys at savagegear-usa.com.
And are they in the big box retail stores, or are these kind of specialty items only found in certain retailers?
Oh, yeah. You'll find them in all the big box stores, Cabela's, Bass Pro, Dick's Sporting Goods. Everybody's going to have them, as well as online. So take a look for Savage Gear.
That's savagegear-usa.com, savagegear-usa.com for the 3D bat, for the suicide duck, and the fruck. Dave, thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks a lot, John. I appreciate it.
Trolling for big salmon? Then tie on a spoon or spinner from McCombie's Custom Lures. These high-quality, made-in-the-USA lures help you catch more Chinook and coho. Whether you troll an Elite Series spoon, a Champion Glow spoon with a squid skirt, or a 3.5 Mini Colorado spinner, you'll be increasing your chances for a fish on. Look for McCombie's Custom Lures at Sportsman's Warehouse and other quality sporting goods stores on the West Coast and Alaska, or online at McCombie'sCustomLures.com.
If you consider yourself a hardcore fisherman who takes pride in being the first person on the water and the last one off, Fish Fighter products were designed for you. Fish Fighter products are used by the top fishing guides in the Northwest because they know having the right equipment is imperative to a successful fishing trip. With our Relentless Series tackle trays, rocket launcher rod racks, and breakaway river anchors, you'll spend more time chasing the fish, not your gear. Designed and built right here in the USA. Gear up at fishfighterproducts.com.
I'd like to welcome a new sponsor to our show. It's Sportsman's Cove Lodge, and many anglers who have been there will tell you it really is Alaska's best lodge. Sportsman's Cove Lodge sits on a salmon highway full of kings and silvers. There's halibut too, and there are some really big ones. Finally, with decades of experience taking care of customers, Sportsman's Cove Lodge knows how to treat you right from start to finish. Ready to book your trip of a lifetime? Then call Sportsman's Cove Lodge at 800-962-7889. That's 800-962-7889. 800-962-7889 for Sportsman's Cove Lodge.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers seeks to ensure North America's outdoor heritage of hunting and fishing through education and work on behalf of public lands and waters. Lend your voice to the fight today by visiting backcountryhunters.org or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Our next guest on America Outdoors Radio is the longtime columnist for Field & Stream, whose musings are generally found on the last page of every edition. His name is Bill Heavey. He's been described in the Wall Street Journal as, quoting here, a poster boy for personal incompetence. What a wonderful title. And he's the author of a brand new book titled, Should the Tent Be Burning Like That? Bill, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, Bill, this book is a collection of what I assume is what you believe to be your best work published in Field & Stream over the last few years. Is that about right?
That's about right.
So it's not the editor said, these are the ones you need to get published. You got to choose these yourself.
No, I needed some help. I'm not the best judge of my own stuff, so I got input from other people.
Well, from what I'm reading so far, you made some very good choices. Folks, it is a great read, and there's lots of short stories, as you might imagine, from the columns that Bill writes, but there's some longer stories, too, including the first one in the book that you're just going to love, especially if you're a steelhead fisherman. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and where you live? Because I think it brings some perspective to your writing. I mean, it's pretty clear to me, reading the book, you don't live out in Montana or Wyoming within through your front yard, do you?
No, I wish I did. I live in the Washington, D.C. suburbs inside the Beltway. But I get out every time I get every chance I get. First story that you're talking about was with this Mikey Dvorak, who is like this steelhead fanatic. And the first time I met him, I thought he was a bum because he asked to borrow $50 from me, even though he knew I was leaving in 3 days. And I said, sure, Mikey, but what do you need it for? And he goes, well, we're going out and I need it for a battery for my boat. And I said, I'm afraid I don't follow. And he goes, oh, let me explain. We're going to go to Walmart, we're going to buy a battery, and then 3 days later we're going to take it back and you'll get your $50 back. I always thought if you owned a boat, owning a battery was kind of, part of the deal. But Mikey was all about, what do I need to do to go fishing today?
And folks, you're going to love the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say, when it comes to Mikey and chasing the chrome. Bill, you've been fortunate in that you've been able to travel all over. What's your favorite state in the U.S. to fish or hunt, and why?
I think I've had some of my most memorable experiences in Alaska, which is kind of the closest thing we have today to the Wild West still in this country. I mean, there are people in Alaska just doing crazy stuff and living lives that the rest of us find hard to imagine. I was up recently doing a story about a grizzly bear guide, and I was asking him how many times he'd been false charged by a grizzly bear, which is where the bear comes straight at you, and at the last moment, it breaks off, much like a dog. And in fact, he said, reading bears is like reading dog behavior. And I said, yeah, but what was it like the first time? How did you stand there and go, I'm pretty sure he's going to break off, but that would turn my pants brown.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, how many times have you been false charged? And he goes, I don't know, a few hundred.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around that.
Wow. Well, speaking of near-death experiences, and I think a false charge by a grizzly bear qualifies, what about you? Have you, in all of your travels, had any near-death experiences that you're sharing in this book?
Yeah, one occurred very near here. I was fishing in a clover leaf off I-66 where there was a pond, and I noticed one day that there were fish rising. And if you're a fisherman and you see fish rising someplace, there's a pretty good chance you're going to go back there. So one day I went back and I hopped the fence and I waded out and I started casting. And I thought quicksand only happened in Tarzan movies. But I was in this mud, and pretty soon I was knee deep, and then I was thigh deep, and then I realized it's probably time to go. And it was very hard to extricate my legs, and I ended up kind of swimming, crawling, clawing my way out on the surface, holding on to the weeds. And I think I lost a very nice fishing outfit there, but I decided not to go back for it.
And I guess if that would have been the end of you, most of your readers would have kind of, read the last column that your editor wrote in your place and would have put down their copy of Field and Stream and said to themselves, yeah, that's about the way I figured it was going to happen to Bill. Is that about right?
That's exactly right. And you want to know the worst part of that?
Go on.
They've done market research, and most readers read Field and Stream in their bathrooms.
It's funny you said that. I got the chance to talk to T. Edward Nickens, and another writer for Field and Stream.
Hey,
yeah, and he told me the same thing. Apparently, you writers put a lot of stock into that research. You all seem to be very proud of the fact that most of us men who read your magazine are doing it while taking care of business in the bathroom every day.
Well, you have the choice of being proud of it or being a little bit
horrified. All right. One other story I want you to share. I understand you're a big advocate of carrying pantyhose with you on certain backcountry expeditions, which, as you might imagine, in today's America is a dangerous stand to take. Would you care to explain why you're a proponent of such a thing?
Well, I'm a proponent of it when you're on horseback for extended periods of time, and I have a reason for being a proponent of it, which is that the guy taking me into the mountains told me to do it. He said, make sure, the night before we left, he goes, make sure your jeans fit you the right way, otherwise, they'll really chafe your legs going up. And I said, what constitutes the right fit? And he goes, look, I'll make it easy for you. Just go buy yourself a pair of pantyhose. And this is in Laramie, Wyoming, which is a cowboy town, pretty macho place. So I stride into the dollar store, and a guy doesn't want to have to order pantyhose twice. So in a very loud voice, I say, need a pair of pantyhose. And what I didn't know is that this comes with a whole series of questions. So the woman goes, yes, sir. What size would you be wanting those in? And I went, XL. And she said, very good. And the color, do you want nude or taupe? And I said, I'm taupe. And then she said, control top or regular. And I had no idea what those meant, but I decided to go regular. And the last question was sheer or opaque. And by this time, I was giving her a dirty look like, what kind of a man do you take me for? Opaque. They work like a charm.
All right. Well, now we know why you should wear pantyhose, why to be careful when fishing those close-to-home ponds, and what state is the wildest state to recreate in, at least according to Bill Heavey. If you want to find out more about his adventures, pick up his book. It's called Should the Tent Be Burning Like That? And you can find it at Amazon.com. Brand new book. It would make a great Christmas gift. I've been tearing through this and rereading stories I've read in the past from Bill and Field and Stream and catching quite a few that I've somehow missed. Again, Should the Tent Be Burning Like That? It's by Bill Heavey. Great collections of stories that you are going to enjoy. Bill, Merry Christmas, and thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John. Merry Christmas.
There's a place where the fishing is year-round, where the sun shines 300 days a year. The wineries and breweries are right downtown. The hiking and cycling offer spectacular views you just don't get in the big cities. Fortunately, the place is real and vibrant. It's the Dalles, Oregon, just 90 short minutes from Portland, along the gorgeous Columbia River, where the adventures are limited only by your imagination. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Shiloh Inns and Suites, the hotel chain that offers affordable excellence and is pet-friendly, too. We are going to be talking about squirrels, of all things, cooking squirrels and hunting squirrels. And the man we're talking to about this with is Joe Wilson, the president of Squirrels Unlimited and the man who puts together the World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off every year. Joe, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me on today.
So, Joe, September 16th is the big day. The location, Bentonville, Arkansas. That's where the World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off is taking place. Tell me more about this event.
Hey, well, this year it's our 6th annual World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off. We're going to have this thing. It's free to the public. It's free to everybody from coast to coast to come and enjoy it. And I tell you what the people are going to enjoy. They're going to enjoy our limb chicken, our tree bacon, our tofu of the woods, this animal that most people just call a squirrel.
All right, you've got me interested there. Tree bacon. I've never heard that phrase before, but I like it. You know, I guess I would first off ask, how does a squirrel taste? But I guess it all depends how you cook it. What are some of the winning recipes you've had in past years?
In past years, we've had dishes such as smoked squirrel sausage. We've had meatloaf. We've had squirrel sliders. We've had squirrel egg rolls. And, you know, those are the winning dishes, but there's plenty of dishes that come in there right next to them. Anything you can make with any other protein, you can make with squirrel. And so to answer your question on what the squirrel tastes like, it tastes exactly like squirrel. Squirrel is a meat that absorbs flavor. So if you're wanting to do Asian dishes, if you're wanting to do Italian dishes, it's going to absorb all those flavors you add to it. It's been a huge pleasure to see that sportsmen can take the smallest of game meat and turn it into the biggest of meals. And you know, we've fed tens of thousands of people over the last few years. If we can do this with squirrel, you can dang sure do it with your deer and everything else that gets harvested.
Well, I love the concept, Joe. So I got to ask you, what kind of squirrel are you eating? Because there's several species in North America.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the cool thing about our event is we tell our teams that you have to provide your own meat. And so these teams, if they're coming from Arizona, you know, they've got 7 species of squirrel in Arizona. But typically, our squirrel that's served up the most is going to be your gray and your fox squirrel, your red squirrel. Those are the most common, and most chefs, that's what we call the people in the event, most chefs are going to use a gray squirrel over a red. We find that the red squirrel is typically a tougher meat. It's harder to process and clean down, although it's bigger and you're getting more bang for your buck. The gray squirrel just seems to make better table fare.
You know, folks, the things you learn on this show, both you as a listener and me as the host. We're talking to Joe Wilson. He's the president of Squirrels Unlimited. We're talking about the World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off. It's taking place in Bentonville, Arkansas on September 16th. Joe, where do your chefs get their squirrels? Do they shoot them while they're hunting? Do they trap them? How are they getting the table fare?
Well, 99% of the squirrels come from the tops of trees. That was my remark.
That's kind of a given.
When she asked if they were USDA, she said, where do you obtain your squirrels? And I said, we obtain them from the tops of trees. But, our guys are going out and they're hunting them. And squirrel season in most parts of the country is one of the longest seasons that we have. This isn't prime time with these hot days, but I tell you what, if you wake up early in the morning or hunt later in the evening, that's the most active time for all game, and it's possible to get you a limit of squirrel. Depending on where your listeners are listening at, it may possibly be squirrel season right now. A lot of states open up in the end of October or the first part of September. We put our event off September 16th because it's at the beginning of hunting season. That's whenever your waterfowl, your dove hunting, your deer hunting starting in a lot of places. And we try to get people in early to see the advantages of squirrel hunting. I want kids to get back involved with small game. That used to be the stepping stone to hunters, was rabbit hunting, squirrel hunting, going dove hunting. And it's kind of died off in the last 15, 20 years.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about your organization, Squirrels Unlimited. And I've got to ask, does this group advocate for widespread hunting of squirrels? Does it advocate for, habitat and conservation? What's Squirrels Unlimited all about?
Man, everything you just mentioned, we really try to promote small game hunting. Like I told you, it's a true stepping stone to the outdoors. It's going to take a lot more time in the woods to fill your freezer, but you're really going to enjoy it. You're going to learn how to aim small, miss small by hunting small game. Conservation, we try to promote people, landowners, to leave all those old hardwoods in their woods. So many people cut down hardwoods and come back and plant pines, and it's really best if we keep the hardwoods in the forest just for all wildlife. The squirrel, you can blame the squirrel for planting dang near every tree in the woods. That's what they do. They collect nuts, seeds, they dig holes, they plant them. If they don't find them, a tree grows up. So we owe a lot to the squirrel, every sportsman does. And it's also part of why they taste so good. I mean, these things, a lot of people are looking for 100% organic, all natural, cage-free, none of this and that and the other thing, and that's what a squirrel is. Hey, and it also comes in a biodegradable package. That fur and hair that's on there, that stuff will go away in time quicker than a plastic sack. So the squirrel is God's gift to us, and Squirrels Unlimited promote the fact that we enjoy hunting squirrels. Squirrels is a good way to teach our youth or teach the novice. And so that's what Squirrels Unlimited is all about.
Joe, if you don't wear the crown already as ambassador for squirrel hunting around the world, let me bestow it upon you now. That was good stuff there. How popular is squirrel hunting in the U.S. these days? Any idea how many people participate in the sport?
Yeah, I tell you what, it's definitely something that's different state to state. And out west, you have your lowest population of squirrel hunters. When you get to the south, it's a rite of passage, and there's plenty of squirrel camps, groups of people getting together and celebrating. There's places in Louisiana to where school is actually closed on opening day of squirrel season because they don't have enough teachers and they don't have enough kids on that day. When you get up to the northeast, Pennsylvania and areas up there, huge into squirrel hunting, and same with Michigan and Ohio. So it's something that really isn't popularized by marketing. we don't sell specialty items for squirrel hunters. You can, as you know, by walking out in the city park, you'll see squirrels. You don't have to sneak up on them. So it's something that not a lot of money is made off of this sport, which is good for the hunter.
Absolutely.
Anybody can do it with a .22 or a shotgun and just simple clothing.
You're absolutely right, Joe. We are running out of time, but in about 30 seconds, let's give out the websites people need to know about for Squirrels Unlimited and for the World Champion Squirrel Cook-Off.
Okay, hey, look, if you're interested in cooking and becoming a world champion yourself, go to squirrelcookoff.com. If you want to know anything about squirrel hunting, you can go to squirrelsunlimited.com and learn about it there. And you can also find us on Facebook at Squirrel Cook-Off. But this is something that everybody could do if you're a master chef or a camp cook. Come to Bentonville September 16th and become a world champion.
There you go. That's Joe Wilson, folks. The websites again, squirrelsunlimited.com and squirrelcookoff.com. Both worth the visit. This sounds like a lot of fun. Wish I could be there myself, but I hope some of you listening today will make it a point to be in Bentonville, Arkansas on September 16th and eat some good tasting squirrel. Joe, thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Anytime, man.
Just a reminder for our listeners, this is a best of show. So the Squirrel Cook-Off is probably not going to be September 16th this year. Again, go to the website, go to the Facebook page, find out when that Squirrel Cook-Off is taking place in Arkansas. And like we said just a few seconds ago, make plans to attend. It sounds like it'll be all sorts of fun. Stay tuned. We've got more award-winning interviews coming your way on America Outdoors Radio. Why book at Sportsman's Cove Lodge?
Why is Alaska like no other place on Earth? It hasn't changed in thousands of years.
From the way you get here on a float plane to the way you go out with the guides and the boats, it's just a professional experience.
And I said, this is as good as it gets. I said, if you can't catch fish here, you can't catch fish anywhere.
Your experience with us will leave you speechless.
Book now at alaskasbestlodge.com.
Are you ready for your best of the West affordable summer vacation? Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Many of the big hotel chains will have hidden extra fees for things like parking, internet, so-called resort fees, and lots more. The list is as long as it is sneaky. But at Shiloh Inns and Suites Hotels, there are no hidden fees. Shiloh amenities are all free, like Shiloh's spacious pools and spas, steam and sauna rooms, fully equipped fitness centers, and even the kids stay free. And don't forget that Shiloh Inns also provide a free continental or full hot delicious breakfast at most Shiloh Inns. Now that's affordable excellence. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohinns.com. Smoke-free and dog-friendly Shiloh Inns, American family-owned and proud of it.
If you consider yourself a hardcore fisherman who takes pride in being the first person on the water and the last one off, Fish Fighter products were designed for you. We make products for the relentless fishermen who know that big fish are caught by those who put in the work. With our Relentless Series tackle trays, rocket launcher rod racks, and breakaway river anchors, you'll spend more time chasing the fish, not your gear. Designed and built right here in the USA, Fish Fighter products won't let you down. Gear up at fishfighterproducts.com.
Are you trolling for big salmon? Then tie on a spoon or spinner from McCombie's Custom Lures. These high-quality, made-in-the-USA lures help you catch more Chinook and coho. Whether you troll an Elite Series spoon, a Champion Glow spoon with a squid skirt, or a 3.5 Mini Colorado spinner, you'll be increasing your chances for a fish on. Look for McCombie's Custom Lures at quality sporting goods stores in our West Coast states and Alaska, or online at McCombie'scustomlures.com.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Cruz through his website at AmericanOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Shiloh Inn & Suites. They've got hotels all over the western U.S., and their tagline is affordable excellence. They also take care of veterans. Special rates just for those of you who have served. Find out more at shilohins.com. It being summer, a lot of us are out on the water fishing, and we thought we would talk to John Cleveland today. He is with Eppinger Manufacturing. They're based out of Dearborn, Michigan, and they make the world-famous and iconic Daredevil spoon. John, great to have you on the show today.
Good morning, John. Happy to be here.
You know, the Daredevil, I got to tell you a story. My dad, God bless his soul, he passed away earlier this year. He told me that his first steelhead he ever caught was south of Seattle back around 1959, and he was using a Daredevil spoon. I think it was on the Nisqually River, an old red and white, the iconic Daredevil, to get his first steelhead. These lures have been catching fish for how long now? How long has the Daredevil been around?
The company has been around since 1906 in Detroit. Lou Eppinger founded it. So we've got quite a long history here. We're no longer a fad.
I would say not. So tell me more about the Daredevil spoon. Was it basically the lure that launched Eppinger?
It definitely was. It was the lure that launched the spoon business. Lou Eppinger back in 1906 actually had a full-service sporting goods store in downtown Detroit, which was not unlike maybe a Cabela's or Bass Pro of the day. If you were taking a trip to Canada or a hunting trip out west and you lived in southern Michigan, you would go to Lou Eppinger's store and get all your equipment, your guns, your ammunition, your clothing, etc., and outfit yourself. And Lou, he was kind of a tinker, and he wanted to improve the fishing lures and whatnot of the day that would fit the bait casters, which didn't have any brakes or decent gear ratios on them. You needed a pretty heavy lure to cast, and yet you didn't want it to be an anchor. You needed to have some action. So he started playing around, pounding out what became the Osprey spoon in 1906, and kept perfecting it. And then about 1918, he renamed it the Daredevil, which became the iconic red and white spoon of the day that has carried this company for 111 years now.
Wow. So question for you about the Daredevil. What species of fish did he have in mind when he designed it? Was he a trout angler? Is that what most of his customers were after?
Actually, he was fishing mainly for pike and walleye at the time, but they have definitely become probably the number one iconic lure for fishing for trophy lake trout up in the Northwest Territories and the Arctic as well. In fact, the world record was caught on a Daredevil husky.
Well, and if you head up, like you said, to the Northwest Territories or a lot of parts of Canada, and you're casting for pike, the number one lure to throw at them is a 5 of diamonds Daredevil. That works like a champ. The spoon, the thing I love about it is that it does have that weight, so you can cast a long ways. And in a lot of situations, as a shorebound angler or, when I'm wading, that's really important to me, fishing rivers and lakes. But it's got great action, and there's been a lot of spoons that have come along since then, but none seem to have that action that the Daredevil does. It's something really special.
That's definitely a key, John, and one of the reasons is the center of the spoon is just a little bit thinner than the outer edge. And, again, we've had a long time to perfect that, and I got to tell you that was probably perfected probably 80 years ago, and I don't think we've changed anything since. But the key is that action actually triggers strikes, and I would say almost regardless of color, the actual action of the spoon is what will trigger a fish to hit it.
Oh, absolutely. So next question for you, the spelling of Daredevil. Now, when I was a kid, I just assumed, dare, D-A-R-E, devil, spelled commonly. But, when I picked up a package, it's like, no, I'm spelling this all wrong. If you look at it, it's more like, if you don't know how to pronounce anything, like me half the time, it's Daredevil, What's up with that?
And I get that sometimes when I'm working the sport shows, and guys will come up and pronounce it like that. But what happened, basically, right around 1918, is there was I guess a little bit of pushback from some of the some religious groups, and Lou was sensitive to that, and he changed the spelling because of that pressure.
That's interesting, John. But he must have pushed back a little himself, because when you look at that lure, there's a picture of a little devil on that lure, so he wasn't completely cowed by the religious establishment, was he?
There was some compromise there, right?
I guess so.
The spelling, but kept the at least what we consider, who knows what the devil really looks like, right? But that certainly has become the iconic image for us.
Well, the Daredevil, pun intended, is certainly a devil of a fishing lure. It catches fish. I was using it down in Baja, folks, and actually trolled up some triggerfish of all things. I've caught steelhead and salmon out of the Deschutes River with the Daredevil. It is a great lure. Speaking of fish caught with the Daredevil, do you have any claims to fame in terms of any, state record, lake record, even world record fish caught with the Daredevil spoon?
Well, certainly the world record lake trout was caught on a Daredevil. Me personally, I caught a world record Arctic char up in on the Tree River with a Daredevil.
Really? John, you're a modest man. You have never, ever told me this before.
That's something that I don't brag about, but I don't hide it either, but thank you.
Well, tell me more about that fish. I've got to hear this fish story, especially if it's a world record fish.
Well, it's actually right behind me, a replica, and it's a beauty. The Tree River itself is probably the number one place to fish for trophy Arctic char. The gene pool there, it just is full of virtually all the world records have come out of the Tree River. And I was up there for actually just 24 hours. I flew up to fish for a day, overnight, and I was fishing with a Daredevil, what we call a rocket devil, which is a double thick Daredevil that gets down in the current. And I made a couple of casts, and all of a sudden that lure stopped, and about 50 yards out, this gigantic 3-foot long orange char leaped out of the water, and I had a great time with him for about 10 minutes. And we did all the measuring and whatnot, and photos, and we slipped her back in the water, let her go. Super exciting.
Oh, absolutely. What is the closest piece of civilization to where you were fishing?
This was actually in the Arctic, north of the Northwest Territories. So there was an Inuit village about 95 miles from where we were.
That, John, qualifies as the fish story of the day, far and away. Last but not least, let's steer folks to your website so they can find out more, not just about the Daredevil, but you make a whole bunch of other lures, too, that we need to let folks know about.
Well, our website is actually eppinger.net. That's EPPINGER.net. And we are in the process of revamping it, and in the next 30 days, we should have a brand new site up.
Nice. Eppinger.net. That's Eppinger.net. That is where you're going to find out more information about the Daredevil spoon, including where to find it. And folks, you're going to find it just about everywhere. It's been around for over 100 years, and it is in sporting goods stores all over the world because of the fact it catches fish. It's the Daredevil spoon. John, thanks for taking the time to tell us about it on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
I hope you enjoyed this last segment of our show, sponsored by Fish Fighter Products out of Mountain Home, Idaho. This was a special best of edition of America Outdoors Radio, featuring 3 award-winning interviews that won Excellence in Craft Awards from the Outdoor Writers Association of America and the Northwest Outdoor Writers Association. I'm proud to be a member of both groups, and if you are interested in sharing your talents with the public as an outdoors communicator, whether it be as a writer, a photographer, producing video or audio content, no matter what your experience level, check out the websites for both organizations, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me through our Facebook page at America Outdoors Radio or through our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. I'd be happy to help you along the way. We need more members in both organizations because, as far as I'm concerned, there's never enough people talking about the outdoors. As we put a bow on this show, we've got a programming note for our Seattle area listeners. Beginning Saturday, July 7th, this show will be airing in Seattle and Everett on a new station. It's KJR 950, Seattle Sports Station. It's a true legacy station. It's been around since 1922. We'll be airing on KJR 950 every Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. with a special Pacific Northwest edition. One place we won't be moving from anytime soon is our online presence at talkamericaradio.us, where you can hear us on Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Finally, you can catch a recent edition of America Outdoors Radio on demand through Stitcher or Podbean. Just look for and follow America Outdoors Radio to do so. I hope you're blessed with good health and good times in the week ahead. And until next time, remember, it is your country and your outdoors.